Welcome everybody, I hope you're all doing well, and today I would like to share with you my game analysis from the 9th round of the Sinquefield Cup 2018, the game between Levon Aronian and Alexander Grischuk. And this was an important game because Levon Aronian, both of these players in fact, were chasing Fabiano Caruana. They were both on +1 before this last round and Caruana on +2. So if either of these two players won the game, then they would be able to catch Caruana if he drew, and he actually drew his last game against Wesley. So with that being said, let's begin. Aronian with the white pieces, starting out with d4, and we have a little bit of an unusual opening. I'm not even sure what to call this, so we'll just go with it and see what happens. Knight c3, and here the main move is bishop e7, but Grischuk goes for e4, which is a committal choice. Black wins some space, but on the other hand his pawns can get a little bit loose. Now knight h4, here the main move is knight g5. Knight d2 also has been seen. Knight h4 has the advantage that the knight often can go to f5 and be a little bit annoying there. Now d5 is played, castle, bishop b4, takes. Here Aronian plays a new move, he goes f3. So far queen b3 has been seen before, bishop takes, queen takes, let's say castle, and it seems to me that white is a little bit better with the bishop pair. On the other hand, for black, this structure, if you can maintain it, is quite advantageous, especially as this bishop is locked out of the game on g2. And this is why, I suppose, Aronian went straight for f3, opening up the king side. Bishop takes c3, pawn takes, and now simply castle. Bishop a3, attacking the rook on f8, rook to e8. Now knight f5, this is what I was talking about. Now the knight is coming to d6. This looks very strong, but black still has more space, and if he can finish his development, he should be fine. Knight b6, a good move. The knight is aiming to c4, knight d6. And here Grischuk actually straight went for knight c4, offering an exchange sacrifice. He could have also gone rook to e6 when after f takes e4, d takes e4. White can play c4 with the pawn after rook takes d6, bishop takes d6. Now if black was to take on d6, there's a fork of queen and knight winning back a piece, and white would be an exchange up. White is also an exchange up here, but black would have very nice compensation for the exchange as he has good control over the light squares. So this was another way to play. There's also the option to play e3 to offer the exchange on e8. Knight c4 was played, and Aronian did not take the exchange on e8, which I think was a good choice because this looks very visually pleasing for black, and I think he is fine here. With the strong knight on c4, the pawn e3 in the white position, restricting the white options. So this looks pretty good. So Aronian takes on c4, and he takes on e4, knight takes, queen c2. And what you need to know about this position is if white can break the black blockade here on the light squares on e4, let's say if the knight was to retreat to f6, he would be just cruising with this center. This would be a dream come true, pretty much winning for white already with the bishops and a super strong center. So this is something black cannot allow, and the reason why Grischuk goes into this pin here on this diagonal, because he wants to keep blocking the white center on the light squares. And next would be bishop f5, further strengthening this blockade. And I'm assuming that Aronian saw this position from far in advance before he actually took on c4, and he decided, alright, I will break this blockade no matter what, or I'll try to, and he plays an incredible move here, which you might say is the move of the tournament. So if you want to, if you haven't seen this game yet, stop the video and try to figure out what did he do here with white. What could he have done? Alright, so he sacrificed a full rook on f7, Wow. Before we get to this though, what if we just place naturally? If we place like rook f3, doubles on the f file, looks good, but really there's nothing to be done for white here, and I would personally prefer black already because of this beautiful blockade on the light squares. Just no progress to be made. Where is white going to play? So Aronian played rook takes f7. And now Grischuk took with the king. In fact, he could also take with the queen. But then after bishop takes e4, white is threatening on h7. He has compensation here. The question is, does he have enough compensation? But this is definitely an imbalanced position with chance for both players. King takes f7 is a stronger move. Rook f1 check. And now the first question is, which Grischuk didn't play, king g8. What happens then? Grischuk went bishop f5. Let's take a quick look at king g8. Now we see the full point. The whole point behind this, bishop takes e4, and black cannot take on e4 because then there would be, in the end, a checkmate on f8. So this is the whole idea. This is why rook takes f7 is even an option. So in this position, black would need to move his queen, but here I think white has really nice compensation with the bishops. For example, this can maybe go to e5, and quite a rich position still ahead. So bishop f5, good move. g4, attacking the bishop once more, and g6, once again the best move and only move actually for black to stay in the game. But here, as you can also see by the engine bar, black's doing really well. Now Aronian plays another interesting move here. He just goes queen c1, no rush to take on f5, and he wants to bring the queen to h6. And here Grischuk plays a very natural move. He plays king to g7, which is a mistake. He had several other good options available, best being rook to e6, just preparing himself already for the queen appearing on h6, and now simply king to g8. Now the bishop is not pinned anymore, that means the bishop is threatening to take on g4. After takes, immediately the rook attacks the queen, the rook can come to g6. Black's on the verge of winning here pretty much. So this would have been a very strong continuation for Grischuk. He played king g7, but now takes, and bishop takes e4, getting rid of this knight so that the queen can come into g5, possibly. Which is why Grischuk took back with the pawn, so the queen cannot go to g5. By the way, if Grischuk won the draw here, he could have taken with the queen or with the rook. Both should lead to a perpetual check. Here of queen f6 and so on, because if rook takes f5, black can bring the rook with check to g4, and he should be also fine, even though this also should lead to a perpetual. So we have to give Grischuk credit here that he's continuing to fight on, and he rightly so does, because the position still offers chances for black, but also offers chances for white. So still a rich position and fighting chess here. Queen f4, good move by Aronian, bringing the queen into action, and h6, good response, giving the king the square on h7. Queen to c7 check, that's a mistake by Aronian. Queen to c7 is a mistake. He should play this cute little maneuver first. King f2, try to bring the king to e3, open up the g file for the rook, and then the position would be still very much unclear. Personally, I would prefer white here though. It always seems like it's more difficult to defend than to attack. Queen c7 check, but Grischuk does not exploit the mistake. He plays king to g8 back, or king h8, excuse me. He could have very boldly stepped forward to g6, and now king f2, once again same idea, open the g file for the rook. But here, in fact, the king can go to h5. It looks very scary, but black can play the queen to f5, for example, after queen g3, queen to f5. Nothing's going to happen. If the queen goes to f4, black can go rook g8. Of course, this is easy to say in hindsight with the computer's assistance, these lines, but it works for black, and black is doing quite well here, once again. After king h8, the position is around equal, but it's definitely easier to play for white. Bishop to d6. The idea to bring the bishop to e5. Now rook g8 check. And still good defense here by Grischuk. Rook g6. Bishop e5 check, king g8, and king e3. And very nice maneuver by Aronian as well here. The king is beautifully placed, very safely placed on e3 in the center, getting out of the way for the white pieces. And here Grischuk makes a blunder. He plays rook to d8. That looks like a very natural move, but it has several drawbacks. So what should he have done instead? One way to play would be rook e8, so the queen cannot come to e7 as we saw in the game. Probably best would be to go b5, so that after queen e7 here, one could just go queen e6, and the pawn on b7 is not hanging anymore. Still, the game would continue. Computer gives equal, as you can see, but in a practical game, you wouldn't know what is going on, and I would personally definitely prefer white here because the white king is safer, the bishop is so strong on e5, and black has to be careful here still. It should be about equal, let's say queen e6, and black can try to exchange another pair of rooks, but still, this is, with the open black king, it seems that white always should have at least a perpetual, so definitely more pleasant to play for white. After rook d8, the problem is after queen e7 that now you cannot get rid of this queen anymore with queen e6 because the rook is hanging. And also you cannot play rook d7 or something like that because there's a immediate checkmate here. And if you go queen d7, then there's rook f8. So you cannot get rid of this queen on e7. And that's a big problem because the queen is well placed and really black doesn't have any moves here anymore to defend his position. Grischuk plays b5, but the problem is white has ways to improve his position, and he goes h4. That's very strong because the rook is perfectly placed here, covering both the 6th rank as well as the g file, and if the rook has to move, it's all over for black. But here he has to move since h5 would just be answered rook f5, rook takes h5, and that's it as well. So Grischuk played a5, what else can he do? But now h5, rook has to move and the rook comes in with devastating effect. Rook to f6, threatening to take on h6, threatening maybe even to go rook g6, but rook takes h6 is strong enough of a threat, so Grischuk took an e5, but now this is just rook g6 check, and there will be checkmate next move, which is why Grischuk resigned at this point. Aronian won the game and caught up to Corona together with Magnus Carlsen. They were all on 5.5 out of 9 and +2, and the three of them, they agreed on sharing the title of the 2018 Sinquefield Cup. So Corona, Carlsen, and Aronian all won the Sinquefield Cup 2018, and this was quite a bold game by Aronian, sacrificing the rook like that. But in the end, it all worked out because Grischuk made a lot of good defensive moves, but in the end he could not find the right way, and then Aronian finished nicely, and quite a beautiful game I thought, so I want to share with you. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to subscribe for more content like this one, and then I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.